What's up, guys, and welcome to another Two Lost Conversations. I am Nyla Simone, and today's guest is actually an R&B artist all the way from across the pond. We have August Charles on. How are you?
How you doing? I'm good, thanks. You chilling?
I'm chilling. What? I love this accent. You know what's so interesting? Why we don't notice the accent while you're singing?
I mean, I don't really know how many R&B or soul artists that project with a British accent. It kind of doesn't hit the same, you know? I mean, unless you can name a few, but that's just it. It just comes out. I think because listen, R&B and soul originates from America, and that's what inspires most British artists. It's like it's only inevitable that it's going to be somewhat accented, you know?
Okay, I love that. I guess, what is your villain origin story when it comes to wanting to be an R&B soul artist?
Villain origin story? That's crazy. I don't know. I've never heard anyone call it a villain origin story. But I was inspired by my stepdad played a lot of neo soul growing up. He played a lot of like Erykah Badu, D'Angelo. He also played a lot of jazz. But as I grew up, as I got older, I found an obsession with like 70s soul, 70s R&B, and the likes of like Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross. Like I would listen to them on a regular, and it would just be calming, very soothing. It's a very powerful, meaningful, and also emotive genre of music. And I think that's whenever I sing, I feel like that's where I gravitate towards, and that's kind of why I went down that route.
I love that. Love the inspo behind it. I can definitely hear and see that. I feel like with that type of sound that you said you're into, the Marvin Gaye's, the 70s, being that it's like unpopular in R&B, I guess, what made you want to still stay that route?
Do you know what? I mean, that era of music, there was obviously a different level of finance and music money in that time frame. Like there was large instrumentation, so there's like bands that were playing with, or artists that had a full-on orchestra, full-on like choirs. And I actually found my interest in that music, in soul specifically, from hip-hop. Hip-hop has a big inspiration, has a big part to play in what I do, because I'll listen to like Kanye and Kendrick Lamar's like, he's the first person that introduced me to jazz in a way. Like I didn't know who Terrence Martin was. I didn't know who Thundercat and like Kamasi Washington was until then, like 2015. And then like the likes of Kanye, who sampled like soul chops all the time. It's like, that's when I'm someone that loves to, if I hear a sample, I want to find out who the actual original artist is. And then I'll go like a super deep dive. And yeah, just kind of fell in love with it. But yeah, hip hop has a big part to play to that.
I love those type of rabbit holes. I do the same thing.
Nah, it's my favorite thing. It's my little party trick. If someone's like, "Oh, this sounds like so similar to this," or "I feel like I recognize this," I'm like, "Oh yeah, well it's this person from 1970 and blah 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 blah." It makes me sound a bit nerdy, but I love that. The fact that I know that is my only little claim to like to the conversation, I guess.
Hey man, nerd out. I 100% support it because I be doing the same exact thing. Is there any popular samples that you did that you're like most proud of?
I actually, it's funny because I don't really sample at all. I don't sample anyone, only because I mean I wish I could, but I haven't got the money for the kind of clearance that some of these big artists are doing. So I'd rather just make my own original music. Like I work with a lot of jazz musicians, so I feel like whenever I'm in the studio writing with people, I always feel like we're creating something really original anyway. And I love the idea of also being sampled. If someone wanted to sample my music, I would love to see kind of how they interpret it and what world they take it to next. And I find that world fascinating. But yeah, no, yet to sample. I will let you know as soon as I do.
You're definitely an easy artist to sample. Like,
I guess, maybe. I don't know. Well, we're yet to see. Actually, I tell a lie. Do you know Made in Tokyo?
yeah.
He sampled a Instagram reel that I did with a friend and then put it in his album. And I was like, oh, I guess there you go. There's an example. I've been sampled rather than sampled.
That's fire. I love that. Okay, so were you always singing as a kid, or did you have like other hobbies, activities?
Yeah, I was always singing, but not with a real intention to like share that to people. I've always been like songwriting since I was like 12 years old, but that's purely just for my own medication. It's literally a way of journaling. I was obsessed with football, soccer, as you guys like to call it. But like, I loved playing and I wanted to be a footballer, but my parents, African parents, shut that down quite early. But it kind of just never came into fruition. But yeah, no, I love football.
Where are you from?
I'm from Zambia. So my parents, they were first generation. They came here when I was like 6 years old.
Nice. Okay, so wanted to play soccer. Were you like studious in school or?
Not really. I think do you know what it is? I hate exams. I'm a big hater of exams. I think as I grow up now, and I wish I was maybe a bit more attentive in school and like studied a bit more, but I hate the whole kind of methodic learning process. Because to me, when I used to think about back in school, I looked at it as if it was just a memory test. It's like, how good is your memory to memorize? Like when you revise in, you got all these things to remember, then you apply it to the test. And I just didn't find any fun in it. So I was very lazy in that sense. I mean, I could have done better if I actually put myself in a good position to do so. But no, I'm a bit of a black sheep in the family because everyone else is quite academic in my household. So,
Well, I think you're definitely going down the right path. So if you're the black sheep, so be it.
see, that's what I needed. You know, if you didn't say that, then I would have quit right there and then.
Oh Lord. Okay. Let's talk about one of the singles that you dropped in 2024. You dropped a few, but let's talk about You Give Me Everything. What was the inspiration behind that record? And also, are you pinning everything yourself?
Am I doing what everything myself? Sorry. Oh, writing. Okay, got you. Vast majority of my music is wrote by me, but on that one, I got the help of one of my best friends. He's a guy called Yusuf Yellow, or formerly known as Yusuf, now called Young Yusuf. He's a great poet, and he's someone that came in at a time when I was writing my EP. I had like a bit of a writer's block, and I wanted to figure out how I can get this thing out of me that I wanted to get out, and he helped me kind of go through it. That song in itself is kind of an emotional storytelling of how the world is and how we are impacted by certain things that happen in the world. But at the same time, as much as I would love to go into depth and like tell you the ins and outs, I genuinely really love the idea of people making their own interpretation of my music. So like when you listen to it, it can mean something completely different to what it means to me. And that's the beauty of art. And I think a lot of the time we forget that music is an art form. And lyricism is an art form at the same time. It's like I know whenever I perform it, whenever I sing it, I can get emotional about it because I know what it's about. But so can you. You could take a certain word, a certain phrase, and it could mean something completely different to you. And I love that. I love that about music.
This is true. I like that too. Though I'm always curious about what the initial intent behind a song was, but I'll respect.
Do you know, I did that once to one of my cousins, and she asked about what a song meant, and it meant, well, look, one of the songs was about her best friend who I was kind of feeling, as in like in a relationship. And then it ruined it for her. She was like, oh, because before she asked me, she had her own like idea of what the song meant. And then when I told her about who it was, and then she's like, oh. And I was like, damn, see? I knew it in my head. I was like, I knew I should have told her, but.
You know what? Okay, I think we should change the rule to be don't tell the truth to the people who are involved in the song. But for those who are not involved, I feel like it's a fair game.
You know what? Sometimes it depends. It depends on how I'm feeling. When I'm on stage, I feel more inclined to maybe talk a bit more about my music. And then also like when you do the tedious kind of PR runs and stuff like that, they'll ask you questions and you're kind of forced to say something. So
Yeah.
But I don't, just know if you see an article about like me talking about my music, I didn't want to do it. I was somewhat convinced to do it. So just let that be known.
Yo, that is actually hilarious. Okay, let me see. So you dropped a bunch of singles last year. I'm only just guessing that it's leading up to an album.
I can't say too much, but at the same time, I just kind of drop when I feel like the time is right. And I mean, I did release an EP. It was like I know like it's not, I don't know how a lot of people take EPs because they're very short and they want more, but sometimes less is more. Sometimes not going heavy with like a 16-track album or something. It's like, it gives you more chance to.
60-track album is crazy. That's like
happens.
Chris Brown status, which by the way, I hate when Chris Brown does that. 60 tracks is just too much for anybody.
But that's where I feel like it's going. Everyone wants to do the whole huge amount of like track.
That's like some screaming, I'm trying to get over within my contract type of situation. Just putting that out there. We do not want that.
Good. Well, at least you know it's not going to happen anyway. So
okay.
But yeah,
but it does sound like an album potentially might be on the way in 2025.
Potentially. Who knows? Who knows what tomorrow brings, basically.
Does it potentially have a name?
Yeah. It does.
A concept we want to share?
I mean, listen, I don't really like to talk about things that are not out yet. It's very hard to like finalize something to like, because once you then it's like once I say something and then if it's then different, it's like, oh yeah, but you said you were going to do this and this, and it's like, yeah,
This is
it's like, for example, if you went to an art gallery and you knew that your favorite artist is going to be like putting out some art there, like how would you feel if like you know exactly what it was going to be, what it's going to be titled, and like what it's going to look like. I just think it's such an interesting thing the way we look at music and want to know like the ins and outs. And I think it's just consumerism has got to a point where we're so comfortable with knowing so much about a project when reality, like you should just kind of take it as it is. So like when it's out, you like it, you don't, you move on with your day if you don't, you know?
I couldn't argue with that. Especially with the comparison that you made to art. I'm a fan of art, so I can dig it. But talk to me about your EP. What was your favorite record on there? And what was the takeaway that you wanted new fans to get from it?
I think Stand on Trial stands out for me a lot because it's a bit of an anthem for me whenever I perform it live, because I really love getting the crowd to sing the chorus, because I feel like it's designed for that kind of a large amount of vocals singing at the same time. And also one of my favorite things is before I announce that song is I ask the crowd if they can give me their best like American accent, which is funny because it ties it back to you asking why, not even asking, but like talking about how British people will sing with a bit of an accent. But I just find it such an interesting accent. Like I'll say to the crowds, like, say, I'm going to stand on trial for playing the field of love. And then the crowd would then attempt and all kind of ingest in love, and everyone just laughs and has a good time. And it's just an interesting thing to do. But
So that was your American accent just now?
not on the spot, I don't know. I don't even know where it's from. But do you know what? I'm obsessed with the US. I think there's so much quality that comes from there when it comes to entertainment. So therefore, like, I listen to a lot of US music. I watch a lot of US films and series. My manager's based in LA, so it's like I'm around the American accent a lot. And if I try to do the accent, then you're just gonna like kind of dissect it, and then I don't really want that, you know?
No, I would never. I will never. We listen and we don't judge on Two False Conversations.
Okay, noted.
I feel like UK R&B is where it's at. So it's so funny to hear you say that you're obsessed with like US when I feel like we're obsessed with UK right now.
I hear that, but that's the thing is, where does it originate? Like, you know, like we're all inspired by the likes of, I don't know, talking Neo, talking Usher, we're talking like just early JTs. Like these artists that you talk of in the UK are all somewhat kind of descendants. They're people that are highly inspired by US, because that's the source. So it only makes sense, you know.
This is true. This is true. It's dope to see like Cleo drop a flyer and it sells out. Like like what?
Cleo's on a different planet. She's incredible. Like Cleo Soul, even Salt in himself. Like her and her husband are like the most power. Like that's a power couple. I don't know if you know who her husband is. Is a guy called Inflow. He's a producer who he's done stuff with like Little Sims. He produced a lot of Adele's last album. He's a big part of Salt, and he's basically produced a lot of Cleo Soul's music. And they're like, they're great. It's great to have them representing the UK.
That's a fact. I didn't know they were a power couple. That's so cool. Okay, I just wanted to mention, I saw Timberland give you high praise. What was that like?
It was
Did you submit that?
Yeah, so basically my manager submitted my music to his TikTok thing that he does. It was so interesting because he's a very to the point kind of guy, and he's very honest. I was on that call for I think 3 hours on the live, and he was going crazy at like someone would submit a song and then he would be like, "Oh, how old are you?" And they would say like 30, and then he'd go, "Damn," just like damn, and then he would be like, "Oh, I think you should stick to like being a songwriter for other people." And I'm just like, so then that whole time I was worried about because like there was very out of like 50 artists, I think 3 he kind of gave good praise to. And so then I was like literally the last person that they listened to before the end of the live. And I didn't know what to expect, but no, he was very appreciative of the music. And yeah, he compared me to like James Blake, and I was like,
yeah, he loved the tone.
But yeah, it was a moment that I was like, yeah, you know what, that gives you a level of like extra confidence just because it's like the likes of Timbaland. Like I grew up on him and Nelly Furtado, and like he had such a big influence on the kind of the early 2000s or the 10s around that time frame.
Yep.
So yeah.
Agreed. Do you see yourself working with any American producers similar to Timbaland? I feel like that was the time to shoot your shot.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, Timbaland would be an absolute dream to work with, I think, for a start. But there's also the likes of like Just Blaze. I'd love to work with him. I'm a big fan of like Terrence Martin. To Pimp a Butterfly is basically one of my favorite albums of all time. And then there's also Conductor Williams. Big fan of him.
Oh, Conductor's going so crazy right now.
He's going so, and like, yeah, no, there's too many to list. I don't think I could just do. Oh, Pharrell will be top of my list.
No, you have a really good ear. You haven't named anything so far that I've been like, questionable.
Who if I said someone now, who would you be like, I don't know about that one?
I don't want any problems. I don't know who's going to see this, but I'm just going to let you know you have a really great ear.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, now let's talk about your live performances, because I see them all over your page. You look so confident. How did you develop the skills to perform in front of people?
I think a lot of it's trial and error, to be fair. And I think I'm really lucky that I've supported a lot of bigger acts. So I'm a bit of a sponge when it comes to kind of whoever I see live. I always make sure that I stick around for the headline and see how they're interacting with their crowd, how the crowd is interacting to them, and take pointers and see what I can do that's a bit different. For me, whenever I perform in live, I have to remind myself that people have paid good money to come and see me perform. It's like, I want to make it something that is somewhat memorable or something that is just good and that they enjoy it. Even to the point where like I want to make sure that the support act is great so that the whole night in general, not just the headliner, is like a good night. Either you discover new music that you didn't know or kind of just, yeah. So that's for me is like the main focus, is just so that you come out of it thinking, I want to come back. I want to go and see August again. And it's like a night. It's a good night. Like there's a reason why the likes of like Now Rogers comes to the UK every single year and he does like a tour of quite a lot of big cities and he sells it out every single year. And it's the reason because he gives a great show. Like it's like people honestly, it's like an annual night out for a lot of people, you know?
Is it really?
Literally, like he plays some huge venues around the country, and I'm pretty sure it's the same families and the same people that will just go and see. He's like, oh, Uncle Niall's back. Let's all get out and enjoy the music. And that's why these legacy acts kind of last the test of time. It's just they have the ability to curate a great show, a great night, you know?
That's fire. Yeah, I can see that. The only artist who I'm committed to that's like that is Stevie Wonder.
Oh, that's fire. Have you seen him more than once or just?
I just flew out to see him, but he's about to go on another tour and I'm definitely going to catch him and hopefully in my city. I don't want to fly out anymore, but
No, that's
what it is.
Nah, he would be a dream to go watch. He needs to come over here so I can get a chance, but yeah.
Yes, he does. Okay, so 2025, what's on the agenda? What should people be looking forward to with August 1st?
This year, I think I've opened myself up to collaborate a bit more. So I'll probably pop up on other people's albums that you might know, some you don't know. I'm also venturing out. I've just come back from Berlin, working with a guitarist out there who's also an artist in his own right. I'm currently working with someone based out in Taiwan. And I tend to work with a lot of people in the States anyway. So yeah, no, it's just kind of working. I've got new music that's dropping soon with a band by the name of, or a collective called Blue Lab Beats. They're really dope. So yeah, just more music, more music. And any opportunity I get to perform, I shall try my best to be out there singing my heart out for you.
I love that. Well, we'll be looking forward to it. Definitely keep us posted and let us know if you're going to be in US, New York in particular.
I mean, listen, make it easier for us Brits to perform out there. It's like the States is so hard to perform there. It's like just getting the work visa, and it's just so expensive. And I'm an independent artist. I ain't got like big budgets like some of these other people. So I mean, I would love to. It would be a dream to come from the States, but financially, I'm not trying to get bankrupt. You know, I'm trying to live a good life.
I just would like you to know I throw concerts all the time, and I have independent artists usually open up. So the next time I do a R&B night, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, I'd love to do. Let me.
It'll probably actually be March.
Fire.
The
That's
third
soonish.
part. Yeah, it's a little soon, so I don't know, but whatever. I'll just email you guys offside.
No, listen, I'm glad that you even considered me. Thank you.
Of course, I'm obsessed with UK R&B. Like, it's you guys are dominating, and I think it's really cool to see. It's actually refreshing to be. I think when you're in it, it's hard to appreciate the people that you're in it with.
No, I get that. I do get what you mean. But yeah, no, there is a lot of people shining right now.
Yes, so love to you, August. Thank you so much for chopping it up with me. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Two Lost Conversations. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys follow August and tune into all his music and stay by for what's next to come in 2025.